I was waiting for me to stop doxing myself. Otherwise, the intro to the episode is just gonna be me editing out doxing myself.
Listen, Spencer, we're subjecting you to a humiliation ritual.
I know you're not from Scarborough because you don't know what a good shawarma looks like. I know you've never been
in
Scarborough.
First of all,
you've never been in Scarborough, actually.
First of all,
okay, all right.
I'm getting shawarma in Scarborough at least twice a week.
Everyone listening to this probably knows this already, but if you don't, Spencer posted a pic of a pencil-thin shawarma.
Yeah.
The smallest shawarma I've ever seen.
Facts.
Wrapped half in foil.
Right.
He posted in our group chat. Just you never see a shawarma like this back in Toronto.
You don't, bro.
What are you talking about?
You've never felt
Ontario
a shawarma that thick and like
oh
girthy.
my god! Ontario is the only place in North America outside of north of Mexico.
Yeah.
It is the only place in North America where the wraps are good.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what type of wrap it is.
You wrap the food and meat. Food, meat, veggies, all good.
Shawarma, burritos.
I've said for a long time that the regional food of Ontario is wraps. All right, we have breakfast wraps, we got lunch wraps, we got dinner wraps. And don't get me wrong, like I fuck heavy with the shawarma that I'm getting in South Scarborough twice a week.
Name the store.
All right,
Name the store.
Huh? Gadir's.
Wait, Spencer, wait, Spencer, you're fucking with me. Are you saying...
I'm eating Gadir's at least once a week.
You're telling me Gadir's doesn't put a little extra tip, cream on the tip, pause, for the shawarma? You're telling me Gadir?
Look, I fuck with Gadir. Don't get me wrong, I'm fucking with Gadir. I'm still fucking with Gadir. All I'm saying is me showing up to Calgary, alright? Getting one shawarma, and that shit was like... a fucking, like, tall
put your hand on the table.
2.
Put your hand on the table right here. No, spread your fingers out a little bit like they're in this picture, okay? Like that big, right? There's charitably 3 of these on this shawarma. 1, 2, 3. This is like that big.
That's it.
My misunderstanding is that when I go to Gadir's, I'll get like 2 shawarmas.
Okay.
And I'll eat both the shawarmas because they're good as fuck. I got one shawarma here. It was like, I'll say honestly, it was like 95% Gadir's. All right, but I was just fucking full to bursting.
Pause. Run that back.
It
was 95% Gadir's. The quote you gave on this shawarma was,
Twice
Toronto could never.
Never.
Toronto could never.
Kill this man. Kill him now.
You're getting like 95% Gadir's quality, right?
Okay.
But it was barely more expensive than one. It was like a couple dollars more than one. And I got one that was like 2.5 times larger. All right?
This guy is gonna piss.
You're so contrarian it boils my blood.
You guys, I was literally just enjoying a shawarma, and everyone loses their mind.
You and Daniel Smith can have a threesome with that shawarma.
Actually, I'm starting to fuck with Big Oil now.
Where was that town that had a Donair mascot? Let me look this up.
Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Giant fast food costume fetches more than what at auction?
Wait.
So this is hard. This is a sort of an audio medium, so this is hard to describe. But imagine a Donair that's about 7 feet tall, and there's a guy in it. It was Edmonton. Edmonton's Donair mascot was for sale, and it was sold for $16,000 in a government auction.
Holy shit! What the fuck? But
all I'm saying, I told Nana to pull up. If he wanted to challenge me, he should pull up right then. And you want to know what? He didn't. He was scared.
He was scared to come to Calgary.
He was scared to show up to Calgary.
You got me. I was terrified to come to Calgary. You got me. You figured me out.
It would have been a mere $450 to double check on a shawarma.
Oh my god. Holy shit.
Now look, that was just one. I haven't checked the entire shawarma scene in Calgary. But I did have one banging shawarma. It could have been spicier. That's my only thing. I asked for extra spicy, and he looked at me and was like, I'll do it even spicier just for you. And it was like a little bit above mild. But that's the only problem.
Was it like a Turkish spot?
Good ass question.
Because I feel like they're not big on spices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could also be kind of like catering to the population, you know.
It's all oil people out there.
Yeah.
Oil people I would have expected to be like more intense than most contractors, where they're eating food and they're like, I want this to explode my asshole with spice later.
That is true. Oil people are so white that they wrap around to being hot sauce free.
Yeah, the motherfuckers with the capsaicin spray. That's so wild to me.
Yeah, but getting ready for some hiking, which was beautiful. I remember eating some food, and someone was like, "Oh, it's like very mild." And I said, "Well, bear spray is like just capsaicin, right?" And they didn't appreciate that.
What are you gonna do? Shit at the bear?
It's. I think it might have made it a little too spicy, anyways.
Oh,
probably doesn't
God.
taste very great, if I had to imagine.
No.
Bear spray?
Yeah,
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't think so.
but that's not my problem.
We're recording, right?
Yeah, we are. Oh, actually, I could do a transition here. Thinking of Big Oil, right? One, if Big Oil got me a shawarma that big for the same price every time, I'll become climate's strongest soldier. Or the changing of climate's strongest soldier, alright? I'm giving up on my morals just for some bigger shawarmas, and I'll stand on that. Did you guys notice before the election, and maybe I just wasn't looking close enough at the posters before, every single poster became like an oil poster.
Yes, the TTC just got filled with
Oil?
pro oil ads.
Oh,
I saw a lot on buses.
They would buy legitimately 3 banner ads in a row on the
on a
TTC,
bus? Or on a train?
like on a train,
Right.
to just fill with one continuous oil ad.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see who paid for it?
It was like some lobbying group.
True. Wow.
I think
I mean,
there's like
was
oil
Synovus, that's what it
non-lobbying
was.
groups or
Right,
something
yeah.
that like they're not technically politically there, but they do just buy a billion ads.
Right.
Like they're just separate enough that they have no caps on spending, but close enough that like they actually have swing. I was reading a big thing about this, but I had a vacation for a week, so I'm a little out rusty.
Lobbying is a big thing, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did go hard on pro oil messaging, and
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
2025, I feel like even amongst the base, it's not really gonna hit like that. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like,
among the conservative base,
yeah.
I think they like
Well,
oil.
But you think that's gonna be the impetus to make someone vote conservative? Like seeing an ad
I think
like that?
anyone who was going to vote conservative was not convinced by the oil ads.
Right.
I think
Because they're already on board. by
Yeah,
it.
I don't
Yeah,
think they were
yeah.
considering anything else besides
right.
conservative. Maybe PPC, and they're like, "Oh, I have to vote strategically to protect oil or something." But
You know, people who are People's Party of Canada diehards, I'm pretty sure the top thing on their mind is not oil.
yeah,
Well,
maybe immigration.
I think it really does hit like the target, but the target isn't necessarily people. It's kind of like a discourse as a target, where it's like if there is someone who's pro oil or pro pipeline or something like that, it just gives them their talking points. Where the oil posters are like, oh yeah, all this oil money has gone to like hockey throughout history. And people be like, oh, but oil's been like culturally good for the history of Canada. Or they'll be like, oh, we donate to all of these like kids sports things, or our money has gone to developing this, or like is worth this much money. And it just gives enough talking points that anyone who wants a big discussion on oil is going to have to constantly spend time discrediting them. And like they do exist because yeah, oil's a lot of money. But it's just like I think that's what it's there to do, is just constantly put it as a focal point of the discourse.
Right.
Actually, this isn't the discourse TM, it's just actual discourse.
Yeah.
I feel like they would benefit though from it not being in the discourse in general, right? Because like, I don't know. I feel like if it would be better for them if people just forgot about fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Like not like forgot they existed, but just forgot that they were being used all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Though I think they are trying to latch themselves to the wave of like Canadian national industry development. I think oil's trying to be like, hey, you should put all your eggs in our basket. So I think that's why they want to do it. Yeah, and the Liberal Party's in charge, so they got a good shot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it kind. I don't know if it worked. Like the Conservatives won. What was it? Their largest vote share since Harper or something.
Yeah, they won a huge amount. They won the popular vote, didn't they?
Yeah, and yeah, if it was any other time in Canadian history, they would have won the majority.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Liberals and the I don't know what you call the blue conservatives, red conservatives,
PPC kind of guys, or like are you
Yeah,
just
so
talking
they're
generally?
blue
like,
Tory.
blue Tory, like the
The
people,
red Tories, rather.
red Tory, the people
Yeah.
who are conservative but not 100% like. Yeah, I like gay people and stuff, but like I
Like
was still-
progressive conservatives.
Pretty
yeah.
much. They came out in full force for Mark Carney, and
Well, he's their guy.
yeah, he is their guy.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, he spoke to. The thing that really pissed me off about this election was, I think, I guess I can't really say much about it. Like, if you're given the opportunity to vote either for, this is not what's on the table, but if you're given the opportunity to vote either for Pierre Poilievre or Mark Carney, forgetting that there are 3 other parties that at least have some kind of representation in government, I see why you want to vote Mark Carney.
So,
but
wait. A correction.
yeah.
The Conservatives actually lost the popular vote this time.
Oh, really?
Yes. They got 8.1 million votes, which I think is like their highest vote total ever by a huge margin. But
Wow. This is the. Do you know what the total whatchamacallit
like total turnout?
turnout? Yeah.
I think it was like, so I actually don't know. But the number of registered voters was 28 million people, which is like, I think it's a lot more. I mean, Canada's population has grown a lot in the last 4 years, so it makes sense that they would get more votes now, just because the population goes up all the time.
Right. But yeah, I think the reason it's kind of pissing me off is like we said this on the show before, but like Mark Carney is Poilievre-like, kind of like his policies. Well, some of them are not bad, you know. The housing thing, I want to see where they go with it. Like, it looks not bad, but we'll see where they go with it. But like, his policies are pretty much a soft version of what Poilievre is saying. The only thing is his rhetoric is the modern liberal, you know, nice to you, we gotta stand up for climate change, whatever. But in practice, he's not that much different from Poilievre. But they underestimated how much people just fucking hated PP, so much so that like, even with the highest amount of votes they've ever gotten, he still lost the election and lost his seat. Like, I want to know what he was doing in how many days it was after he lost his seat and when he first tweeted, like, oh, thank you to whoever this guy is for like letting go of your seat. Like, I want to know what it was like in the Poilievre household. Like, what was the general?
Well, they were
vibe?
packing their bags.
Yeah.
To move a store away or whatever.
I think like Mark Carney is effectively a conservative that speaks like a liberal. Like that's what he is. He's like all the right is doing right now is they're getting people riled up. They're doing all their anti-woke stuff. They're just like throwing shit against the wall doing that. Mark Carney is like pretty fundamentally a conservative, but I think he doesn't like that ideal, like that ideal kind of thing. So he ran as a liberal. If he ran as a conservative, it would have been the biggest landslide election for the conservatives in history.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there were all those things that were showing that like, if the conservatives did not have a leader, they probably would have still won by a lot.
Really?
I think
something like that.
we've talked about it though, that like there is a deceptive confounding variable in leaderless polling.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, if the Conservatives didn't have a leader, they'd have the guy I want.
Right.
in charge.
Right.
But,
Everyone's
like,
thinking of my ideal person.
yeah.
I do genuinely
those
think...
nameless Democrat
Yes.
polls.
Yeah, exactly.
I do genuinely think that, like, if Aaron O'Toole was in charge of the party, the Conservatives probably would have still won. I think there still would have been a swing towards, like, the Liberals getting closer, but I don't think it would have been anywhere near as drastic. I think people got their first look at Poilievre when they realized that it was actually going to be a competition, didn't like him, and then he did nothing.
Yeah.
Like, he was going into it, the polling was getting worse, and he just, like, kicked all of the media out and then continued to do nothing. People would ask him any question, and he would just say, after a lost Liberal decade, we need to axe the tax, stop the count, and like just everything.
I think you're overstating how much people were annoyed by Poilievre personally, and understating how much of it is just people reacting to Trump.
But Poilievre could have done something there.
I mean, that is Poilievre's fault that he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Which is, like, more important than the fact that he's, like, an annoying nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would have been, like, a massive about-face if, like, who was... Shrey mentioned this in a previous episode, like, the conservative leader who was a huge flip-flopper.
Aaron O'Toole.
Yes. Yeah. I think if he, like, came out 100% against Trump, like, at the time that the whole thing was popping off, he would have been seen as kind of like an Aaron O'Toole guy, because like you kind of like position your messaging to be like at least similar to what Trump is saying, put a Canadian spin on it, whatever. But then it would have been like people will see it as disingenuous. I think he would have lost conservative votes if he pivoted too hard towards like making the election about Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But who would he have lost that to?
I don't know.
New generation PPC, who is the big winner of this election, is the Instagram shorts, Instagram reels, whatever you want to call it, account, New Generation PPC. Pumping out banger after banger after banger for the entire election
Before
cycle.
this episode, we were talking about fascists on Instagram. This is one of the goats.
Yeah.
Of fascists on Instagram is this guy who just makes memes telling you to vote for the PPC.
Yeah. He was like, I remember seeing the first one that I got organically, and it was like the NDP versus like liberal versus conservative stance on immigration. It was just a bunch of yapping. And then it was like the PPC stance on immigration. It's like King Von.
Oh my god.
King Von, the rapper?
Yes.
Yeah, not
Not King Von, the federal election writing.
Yeah.
No, yeah, the New Generation PBC had some deranged content on his channel.
Yeah. How would you, let's say from Jagmeet Singh TikTok to the Six Buzz Instagram, like how fascist would you go like for the PPC account?
The New Generation PPC account?
Yeah.
Probably on par or worse than Six Buzz.
Six Buzz?
You have to understand what I'm saying is that he was advocating for like killing all immigrants.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Not like directly as a meme, which I genuinely do believe was ironic, but like at the same time, it's all there.
people won't take people will take it as face value.
Yeah, all the stars were completely aligned.
Yeah.
You know.
Speaking of Six Buzz, PP did a Six Buzz interview. Did you guys see that?
Oh my god.
I didn't know.
I saw it like after the election. It wasn't an interview. Like he's been coddled. It's actually like, I mean, there's no one in the conservative caucus who's like aiming to replace him. But it's actually kind of insane how like he's still the leader. Like he was coddled the entire election process. And the Six Buzz interview, I put interview in air quotes because it was essentially like Six Buzz giving him questions, giving his wife questions to ask him, and with no oversight whatsoever. So they're just chatting to each other.
Yeah.
And he posted this on Instagram. This is a fucking ad.
Yeah.
Like how is this like considered an interview? They just straight up did advertising for the Conservative Party.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Because I remember when who did Carney do his first interview with again? It was like Jon
The American
Stewart
guy.
or something.
It was
That's
Jon
because he wears
Stewart.
glasses.
And I remember saying that like Jon Stewart fed him everything. He didn't really have to do anything but be a guy with a smile,
Yeah.
and then it went well and everyone seemed to love it. And Poilievre tried to do like the same thing, but it was when push came to shove.
Right.
Like when people could look and be like, okay, how do we want our prime minister to answer questions? And he's just blocking the entire media out. Like, for anyone, if you're on board with the Conservatives, you're on board with the Conservatives and you're going to vote for them. But anyone who's not 100% sure is not going to appreciate that.
No. Yeah. Like I think there's something to be said about mainstream media being biased in their own little way. But like it's never the bias that people they're always like, oh, they're so biased against conservatives. No, they're not actually. They're like biased for like any type of neoliberal, like it could be conservative, it could be liberal, like They are biased for that perspective. Fucking CBC was posting like, fucking, I don't know, propaganda about Canada Post and the kids not getting their gifts or something during the strike to kind of like make like manufacturer consent for them to break the Canada Post strikes. Like they are not biased against conservatives at all. Like that's not a thing.
Wait.
Yeah, they're biased for the status quo, which is broadly speaking between the two major parties.
Yeah, exactly.
And like a lot of conservatives seem to think that anything that doesn't hail full right is against them. Like that's kind of the conservative way. But like, yeah, you like if we have 3 parties, which we don't anymore, but like if we have 3 parties, you would assume that the media...
We have the block, man.
You would assume that the media sits somewhere in the middle, which is like broadly where the liberals are if it's biased towards the status quo.
Our new Democratic Party, the Bloc Québécois.
Yeah.
Basically, yes.
Yeah. Truth.
But I think we have to talk about the NDP.
Yeah.
Completely eating shit.
Wait, before we do, did you guys cover the Carney cabinet at all?
No.
Because this is like breaking news as of 5 minutes ago. Chrystia Freeland says she won't be in Mark Carney's new cabinet.
Fuck!
Ain't no way.
This country's cooked. Okay, we do have to address.
Well, let's go. We need to hit the overall summary of what happened, which was the Liberals won. They got
not as much as they were supposed
to. A minority government, barely.
Yeah.
Although apparently, like whatever it is now, like 338.
Yeah.
Was like pretty close to the predictions. I think the margin of error was more in like what the vote the Tories got.
Oh, I see.
And it was off by like a couple percentage points.
Yeah. So, the Liberals, they won. The Conservatives lost marginally. The NDP got wiped.
It's blown out.
They literally lost every seat in Ontario. They got knocked to 1 seat in Quebec, 3 in BC, 1 in Alberta, 1 in Manitoba.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So...
Wow.
There is a retrospective going on what happened to the NDP.
Yeah.
What some people will have you believe is that unions defected to the Conservative Party, or union voters voted right, or whatever, in reaction to strike breaking by the Liberal government, which, frankly, would not be unreasonable for a politically uneducated person to do.
Right. As
the Liberal Party and the NDP placed themselves in opposition to the labor movement for the past few years. Although, I don't know why you would think the Conservatives would be even a bit better.
Well, hey, there's, like, even reasoned decisions will always have a reactionary element. If you see the people you would usually hang with being against you, you're obviously going to look more towards the last guy. Your decision that you make is like probably going to be more than that, but you're gonna hit that stage, and then it's like a timing window.
True.
You know.
So the other thing though is that's probably not true, because if you look at polled second choices for voters, conservative voters generally put the Liberal Party as their second choice. So if they were union guys mad at the Liberal Party. Presumably, the Liberal Party would not be their second choice, right? Meanwhile, second choice for Liberal voters, 45%. The massive bulk was NDP second choice. And this is what actually killed the NDP, was strategic voting, which also didn't work.
Let me see. I took a screenshot of this.
Yeah, so we have the data, folks. We have the data from Elections Canada. I'm running the analysis. We're crunching the numbers. We will come back to you with definitive proof that strategic voting did not work in this election.
We will give you justification to kill on sight anyone in the future in this country who suggests that you need to strategically vote for the Liberals to keep the Tories out of power.
Yes.
Yeah.
The preliminary results that analysts were saying the night of the election, and we have not confirmed these yet, is that strategic voting got the Liberals 8 seats and got the Conservatives 25 seats due to NDP to Liberal defections, bringing both parties below the level of the staunch Conservatives in that riding.
Insane. Insane.
Yeah, I've always said for strategic voting, do not strategic vote. Vote for what you like. If the other parties wanted your vote more, they would give you
earn
reason
it.
to vote for them.
Yeah.
Don't strategically vote. Make them work for your vote.
If you look at the breakdown of the vote in, say, Vancouver Island, you see that a lot of Vancouver Island actually went Tory because the Liberals ended up splitting the NDP vote.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, as an aside, it is wild to me how the northernmost part of Vancouver Island, as a riding, also shares territory with mainland Vancouver, mainland BC. Like, why not just have it be more of Vancouver Island?
Probably there's a complex formula. So ridings are distributed according to this formula that's supposed to prevent gerrymandering.
Yeah.
But it sometimes, I assume, leads to weird outcomes with clustering like that.
Yeah.
But in general, Elections Canada sets it so that all the ridings have the same population.
Yeah.
And then also there will not be a statistically significant shift in seat count when ridings are reallocated.
Yeah.
And they release a formula and a report on how they do this.
Yeah.
And they'll be here is if the last election was done with these new ridings, here was what the results would be, and here's how we restructured it so as not to give an advantage to any one group.
Right.
Seems like Election Canada is just like a works program for math grads.
It pretty much, yeah. Them and Stats can.
Yeah.
On smartvoter.ca, smartvoter.ca.
Oh, this is the one that got called out, right?
Yes.
Their projection for if you did a strategic vote, they said Liberals would get 215 seats, Conservatives would get 86 seats, Bloc will get 26, NDP will get 13, and the Green will get 3.
Mm-hmm.
Without strategic vote, the Liberals will get 185. I don't. So who cares? Wait, what? The Liberals will get 125. The Conservatives will get 124.
Yeah. So the Liberals will get a majority anyway. So do whatever you want.
Right? Like that should be.
Wait. This is 120. Wait.
Yeah.
Without strategic voting. Oh, 185. I thought you said 125. I'm like,
That is not a majority.
185, Conservatives 124, Bloc 24, NDP 9, and Green 1. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't NDP and Green get 9 and 1?
7 and 1. I think.
7.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's dire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at my social fascist stalin.
I think one of my least favorite things that I've seen is Jagmeet Singh going out, completely just dropping the ball, plummeting his party through the fucking dirt and 6 feet under. And then just saying, oh, actually, I did this honorably to try to stop the Conservatives from winning. No, you didn't. You just fucked the dog.
I actually did it to protect you guys. I got beat the fuck up so I can protect you.
I may have permanently killed the only mainstream workers' party in Canada.
Yeah.
But
At least we got Carney
at
in
least we
office.
delayed the Conservatives dismantling the welfare state for 4 years.
Yeah. Actually, wait. 5 max.
Yeah, but more likely 4, considering how razor thin this majority is going to be.
You
If it materializes at all.
Yeah.
You are a workers' party because you don't agree with the Liberals and don't like them. If you liked them, you would be in the Liberal Party.
And if you
don't
like
go
them-
out honorably saying, oh, I did this all to help the Liberals. We hate them.
But also, defenders of the NDP's strategy for the past 5 years will point out the concessions gained by the NDP from the Liberals. The dental care program, the farmer care program, I think they did something with vision, and they did something with childcare.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are
$2
not...
childcare.
Now that the Liberal Party doesn't need the NDP anymore, those are going away. There's no way those will meet the expansion schedule that they promised Jagmeet Singh last year, because they don't need those votes anymore.
Yeah.
They can get the Bloc to approve their wealth transfer of $7 trillion to Quebecois seniors or something. They don't need... they don't need...
If we want to start doing practice to make the Bloc vote for anything other than Quebec seniors, we should just start Quebec retirees.
Oh my god! Why are all of Liam's policy solutions to kill a large demographic?
I'm in my Pol Pot arc.
Oh man. The Jagmeet Singh's speech ended...
I'm declaring year 0 in the year 2030. I'm emptying the cities.
Jagmeet Singh's speech ended in the perfect way possible. He said, the NDP is going nowhere. And he's right. They are going nowhere.
And fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Charlie Angus has also said that he's not participating in a leadership run, which is like, I understand it. I respect him and I respect his decision making, but it is kind of tragic because I genuinely don't know who else the NDP can try to rally around. I'm sure there are people that I don't know well. I know names the least of people here, but like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I think Charlie Angus is, well, I'm speaking not as someone who knows a lot, but I think he is the most known person.
Especially with his elbows up stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does rallies, he travels, he talks to people a lot. He is like the most known person outside of Jagmeet Singh. And so anyone who they pick will be someone who 90% of people who don't know anything about or like haven't heard. Heather McPherson, you guys know about her?
I think I've heard of her.
Yeah. Just they floated her about as like a replacement. What you were saying?
So
no,
what-
I would say like it's just that the NDP MPs who still exist now are basically the ones who are like long termers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Long-termists?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're having lots of children.
And it is kind of funny because I think it was in the group chat that someone shared that article of the Liberals saying we're trying to talk to NDP MPs to cross the floor.
Yeah.
And like there's just more like liberal shenanigans that make me just like despise them all the more.
Yeah.
And two, unless like the NDP is like so thoroughly cooked, I don't think you're gonna get these sorry, I sneezed in your direction. You're not gonna really see these NDP vets defect to the Liberal Party, unless of course that the NDP is thoroughly and truly cooked. If we see defections, we should just like throw in the towel.
Yeah, that's the end of the NDP.
Why are you going to this tiny ass party that's like the last theoretical stronghold of something for workers
because
instead
it's
of
the
going
Liberal
to
Party.
the giant fucking conservative party under fiscal conservatism because you're Mark Carney?
Yeah.
It's the Liberal Party, man. They will do this shit. They want to destroy the last, at least mainstream bastion of like social democracy in this country.
Yeah.
In order to just like reduce it to an American uniparty politics.
There is a cold, calculating, strategic angle to it, but I also think there's sort of a sneering Hillary Clinton style condescension to like, how dare you want anything?
Yeah.
Like how dare you have a progressive party? Are we not good enough for you? You don't deserve any better than this.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Like, oh, Canada is so great anyway.
Yeah.
Like, can't you see?
I mean, I think the one thing that at least Canada has going for it is that it actually had a workers' party, whereas America never did.
Yes.
So you don't have like the contradictions of these two wings of the Democratic Party.
You don't have the liberals sneering at you, but they also gave you nothing ever.
Yeah.
They at least did something like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But
like the NDP is like actually historically in the past, a long time ago, been able to stand on its own 2 feet in Canadian politics. Even if it was a junior role, it was at times able to play a part in government.
Yeah.
Well, even
compared to
barely
like whatever the fuck
any
the
time
wing
ago
of the Democrats.
Yeah, even barely any time ago, they at least had to do like something with the Liberal Party to force like get some concessions and stuff like that. And if they maneuvered that well, they probably could have done something. Well, they just didn't. They gave up all of their like worker language and stuff like that. Like very recently, the NDP had a notable and important role in government, and now they're just done.
Well,
at least for the foreseeable future. Maybe they can like bounce back, but we'll only have to see.
Well, Shrey will correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this is time for me to throw some shade on Jack Layton. But I think it was him specifically who got the word socialism removed from the NDP constitution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
Like this problem also goes back in some ways to Jack Layton.
Jack Layton was more. He was more liberal than the Liberal Party was his position in Canadian politics, where he was sort of a bleeding heart, why can't we just all get along sort of collaboration guy.
Yeah.
Which appealed to a lot of people at the time he was running. But also, like, the coalition he built was never sustainable. Because if you look at the data, if you look at the results, what he ended up doing to get the NDP to the level he got them to was swinging Quebec which is the most fickle possible base to construct yourself around.
Yeah.
Wait, he swung Quebec?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they won most of their MPs in Quebec in 2011.
Holy shit.
He swung Quebec because when there was something with the Bloc that had people pissed, but then also he was the only one of the three major parties that was like, we respect Quebec's right to self-determination.
That's all it's...
Yeah, so
That's literally all it takes. You don't even need to make a solid commitment. We're just like, we think Quebec is a nation.
You were
But
like,
also,
hey, I
like-
see you guys.
like the Bloc Quebec
we
was
see you, we hear you.
the Bloc Québécois is also vague Euro style social democracy vibe. Also matches more or less with what the NDP does.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a huge economic shift. I don't know
Yeah.
if the Conservatives would have swung Quebec if they became super federalist all of a sudden.
Yeah,
but
right.
like there were some circumstances that aligned perfectly to allow Jack Layton to build this massive coalition
Yeah.
that were never going to be permanent. They
Yeah.
couldn't possibly be
Yeah.
permanent.
And we might not ever see it
Yeah.
again.
I mean, yeah. But who knows what happened if he still lived? But like, it is just very funny that like Tom Mulcair got handed the bag and then blew it up.
Yeah.
Like, Jugmeat lost bad, but
Yeah.
I still think he didn't blow it as hard as like Jack Lay or as Tom Mulcair did.
Yes. I mean, it would be hard to.
Yeah. He's merely the second worst.
Yeah.
Shrey says send the link. We are introducing a fifth person.
We're doing it WWE style.
Also,
Oh my god, whose theme music is that?
Oh man, Royal Rumble. Holy shit.
Also, Bennett, this is how you know I'm ADHD, because of this episode I've been on like a kill everyone arc, whereas like in previous times I would have been just like everyone is Hitler.
Yeah, he has two moves.
Going to Eastern Europe changed you.
Oh my god, I should have brought all those Tito pins I
Yes.
bought in like the old bazaar in Skopje.
You've transitioned from Maoism to Titoism.
All right, Shrey.
God, what a long week.
All right, Shrey. Well, it's about to get even longer. We're hating on Jack Layton.
Oh, I mean, I've never been a Jack Layton guy.
Oh my god. You're actually so fucking contrarian, it's crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Jack
our...
Layton's Jack Layton's super right wing compared to most New Democrats.
That is
literally what we were just saying.
We were just doing an NDP post-mortem, and our take was Jack Layton, right? He abandoned the NDP's quote-unquote socialist principles and built a impressive coalition in the 2011 election, but an ephemeral one that couldn't possibly stick around, right? Swinging Quebec is not something the NDP can do permanently.
Also, wasn't his dad like super rich?
Doesn't matter.
Well,
That's irrelevant. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a capitalist wrecker.
Are you calling him a
Was.
Maserati Marxist right now?
What, you also have a problem with
Marx's
angles?
dad- Marx's dad was also rich.
Yeah.
from what I remember.
And his
So-
father-in-law was literally nobility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although his wife gave up her titles.
I have
we could
no
go
idea.
on.
Anyways,
There's a
all
lot
of this
there's
is
a lot of
irrelevant.
rich people.
Okay, so here's what matters is Shrey. Jagmeet Singh, I've been like overall he kind of ran right, dropped all like working class language and kind of became a liberal. And I've said he like spiked his party into the fucking dirt and then went out saying actually that was a victory. I did this to stop the conservatives. But I wanted
Honestly,
your take.
that's kind of keynote.
The thing is, though, I'm saying that Jagmeet Singh did not make the NDP liberal. I mean, obviously in the communist sense, they've always been liberal, but he did not make them a liberal party appendage, like any more than the party was already trending in that direction. And maybe in the leadership election where Singh won, they could have reversed that track, but he was just continuing the status quo direction.
In a very odd way, Mulcair lurched it to the left policy-wise and right-wing rhetorically. Singh then just did the opposite. He brought in left-wing language, but right-wing policies.
Break
So they did
down,
the exact opposite.
because you're going to talk about the NDP, their atrocious, I guess, like, performance / positions this election. Let's hear it.
Oh, I sent over a screenshot. I made a little. I spent 2 hours going through every single policy point that the New Democrats and Liberals point out, And it eventually came to a point where the Liberals had more leftist policies, quote unquote, than New Democrats did. Let's see if I can find that.
I remember the big one was the housing one where
Yes,
the
that was
New
big.
Democrats said the Liberals were like, we talked about this last time, private-public partnership or whatever it ends up being. We're going to just try and build houses now. And the NDP said, we'll just give people $16 billion to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, we'll do the strategy
Which is the
that
more
they did in
socialist
the
policy.
UK. Yeah, we'll do the UK strategy, which is famously doing better, as I complain about every episode.
Here, well, the Libs promised to build factories that only do housing. That was their big thing.
That was
The,
low-key
the
heat, I have to say.
Democrats-
Yeah.
3D printed housing.
We all gotta get jobs in like the
Keynesian house factory.
3D printed
house.
housing
Here's-
also fucking sucks. We can talk
I don't
about
think it
this
was
later,
3D
but
printed
It
like,
was not
But it's-
literally 3D printed housing.
but it's basically
As an
like
aside, one of my friends, he was a former member of provincial parliament for Kingston the Islands, Ian Arthur. He left politics. He was a New Democrat MPP. He left politics and now 3D prints houses for a living. So he has like this massive 3D printer that just goes out on site and builds houses.
utterly
with all the
Spencerian.
blocks.
Prince's
this should be Spencerian. I'm a 3D printed house hater, but that's for another episode.
Yeah, I also want to get into that next episode, but let's break
But
down.
honestly, it seems like Spencer would be the kind of guy who would have a 3D printing house business while hating on them.
Spence,
True.
sorry, Shrey, I'm reading this document you sent me. Public-backed mortgages? That can't be what it sounds like.
Wait,
Oh
Where
my
is it?
god.
In the screenshot you sent, NDP,
which one?
point 3,
Oh, yeah,
public-backed
public-backed
mortgages. I can't imagine something that would have more positive pressure on housing costs.
Yeah, it's not great. It's the only thing which is like public backed. That's the only reason I even included it at all. But like it's still expanding somewhat of the state's economic control. But no, it's not great. It's awful.
I got a new brain blast on a housing policy platform.
Let's go.
We forcibly, at gunpoint, subdivide all houses into at least duplexes.
Okay, unironically, this is one thing where when people complain about like immigrants or something like that for housing, and everyone's like, oh, immigrants are putting up like infinite upward pressure on housing. And you look at immigrants, they have like 72 people per bedroom.
Yeah.
And then you look at these fucking crackers who have 17 guest bedrooms in each one of their houses. Buddy, where's the this
Who's
is
the
where
problem?
this is where all the empty housing stuff is.
Yeah.
Here. This is the NDP policy. We'll also help more people buy their first homes by unlocking the financial power of the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation (CMHC) to offer low-interest public-backed mortgages.
Sorry, is the government loaning out these mortgages, or are they paying for these mortgages through TD or whatever?
It's through CMHC, so it's through the government.
So the government is handing out these mortgages.
With low
It
interest.
looks like it.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
better than what I thought was happening, which was that the government was going to assume responsibility for mortgages.
Holy shit. That
Well-
would make housing go like not just exponential,
That is what I thought was being implied.
That
I'm
would
glad
make-
that is not true.
that would turn housing into a straight line up.
yeah.
I mean, it's still not the it still isn't the solution, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's an effort.
It's better than I
don't
thought it
think
was,
the
that's
issue
for
is.
sure.
I don't think the issue is people can't find mortgages. I think the issue is there's no houses.
Yeah.
But that's my take.
Well, Shrey, I don't have the document on me right now that you sent. Take us through some of the points, compare it with the Liberals, and then we'll
It's
discuss.
signal. It's
Yeah,
in
I've got it
Signal.
here. So, Liberal point 1. Unitary economy powered by a stronger federal government. By this, you mean abolishing interprovincial trade barriers? Because if so,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
Number 2, increasing the power of the national broadcaster by expanding the mandate and broadening its abilities. Is that...
It's just as vague. It's just as vague as in the platform. But yes, they said the CBC will do more. I was like, okay, that's somewhat there.
Okay. BCH, that will build, acquire homes, and develop land on a national basis. This is the federal government's building houses plan that has me holding my breath, right?
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah, the
holding my
factories.
breath. I know it's going to be public-private partnerships
Yeah.
that end up with private ownership, but Shrey will disagree. We'll come back to it when it happens.
Well,
Nothing so base as a publicly owned construction company.
No.
One of the biggest obstacles for building housing is zoning. And who
Yeah.
controls that?
The municipalities. Yeah.
So,
There's no
But
shot at
there's-
this.
Well,
there is
realistically,
some ways around it. Like the government does own certain land, and the government could just force municipalities in certain levels, especially the provincial governments.
yeah, municipalities don't really.
Well, I mean that relies
Exist
on
independently.
cooperation with the with the provincial governments.
yeah. Another roadblock.
Well,
The most
I mean,
reactionary Hitlerite level of government.
well, our reactionary Hitlerite government in Ontario is like a big fan of Mark Carney, so maybe there'll be more cooperation between
Holy
Ontario.
shit.
I think
and
okay.
federal
I
government.
think Doug Ford is a fan of Mark Carney in the sense that he recognized a winning horse, not in the sense that he's a Carneyite.
The Trump's way of liking Mark Carney, actually.
So I think
everybody loves a winner, folks.
the buck stops on Doug Ford's support for Carney at having to bulldoze suburbs or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
there's no way that is happening.
Yeah, because Mark Carney likes environmental stuff. He's gonna say no instead of like bulldozing the entire greenbelt to build more suburbs with
We
your
bulldozed
friends.
the 905 to build condos.
Yeah.
He's going to propose something that's like more sane and actually probably way better, and Doug Ford's gonna lose his shit
Because it will
and
mean
like,
they're going to have to build low-income housing somewhere where Doug Ford's base lives, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
yeah, and there's gonna be okay.
Well,
What
no,
Doug
but they
Ford
could
needs
do
to
the,
get
uh,
on.
They're gonna build-
Sorry, wait,
Doug
let
Ford
Tracy.
loves trapping on his not base. So what they could do is they could just rezone the places where the conservatives don't win, just to have more housing.
Like downtown Toronto.
exactly.
Incredible.
A million more condos in Hamilton Center.
So Doug Ford is actually already really trying to plan some expansions that I think is leading to something untapped.
You think he's like?
Realizing that maybe he won't be able to move outwards into the greenbelt, he's already started digging tunnels. Fellas, I'm thinking we start to do underground mole people housing. I want a League. What's the League of Legends show called again? An arcane style vertical civilization where the rich people get sunlight and the poor people are simply buried underground for their entire lives.
Oh, the misery.
Co-sign that.
Doesn't Toronto have like a shitload of groundwater under it?
Depends
Wait,
where you're looking, I
think
guess.
so. Yeah, I think so.
Like, yeah, I feel like
Lake Ontario, underwater. Underground.
yeah. So why don't we just build like water cities under Lake Ontario,
Great point.
We'll do like fucking
But we'll-
Rapture.
like bubble cities?
We'll create Bioshock Infinite in the depths of Lake Ontario. So
We'll
Bioshock
do that. Like you saw the Phantom Menace, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
The
Gungan cities.
Honestly,
Doug
man.
Ford would force Jamaicans to live in big bubbles underwater.
But I feel like Doug Ford would also love to be Boss Nass.
Oh,
Do like
Boss Nass is the big fat alien
Oh
king.
yeah.
and do because his brother loved doing
Yeah.
Jamaican accents. So no. What's gonna happen is he's gonna revive Doug Ford or Rob Ford. Get his like fat red ass on the Gungan throne and get him to like do like speaking Jamaican patois whenever anyone shows up.
As thinking of brothers that like speaking in Jamaican accents, just as a side note, Chet Hanks has announced that for the fellas listening,
Cowboy
it's a Cowboy Summer. It's Cowboy Summer.
He said
Yeah.
officially it will not be White Boy Summer this year.
Cowboy
It'll be Cowboy Summer.
Mm-hmm.
White boys,
Is it Calgary?
black boys, Latinos, everyone will
Yeah.
be participating in Cowboy Summer. as
We
we
love a
said.
progressive king.
All right.
Yeah,
anyways,
Calgary.
What's that? Shrey's been dying for air over here. What's up?
Oh, I was just saying, we gotta go to Calgary if it's Cowboy Summer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
You lost me there.
I'm waiting
Anyway.
We had a whole there was a big argument on the podcast before you showed up about Calgary.
Yeah, we talk about shawarma.
It was about Gadirs versus Calgary shawarma.
Death to Cowtown.
All right. Anyways, continuing with the Liberal platform, Canada-wide insurance for flood. What is that?
Let me bring up the policy. But basically, he said, or not he, the Canadian Liberal platform had something about how they're going to provide flood insurance through the government.
Sorry, the government will have a public option for flood insurance, or will it be like automatically covered?
I think it's public option. Let me just
Okay,
confirm.
that's cool, I guess.
I like
It's for all insurance.
Will they do it properly, or are they going to do half-ass it?
Like,
They're going to half-ass it. I
think there
guess.
should be, like there should be a public option for every type of insurance,
Yeah,
especially if
yeah.
you're legally required to have it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Take it, right? Like, it's a step forward, I guess.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing, I suppose. Okay, NDP, expanding universality of dental and pharmacare. Good point. It should be universal.
Yeah.
Can't hate on that. 2, price controls on food. Downright Nixonian.
Yeah.
Downright
It's not a
Trumpian, even.
leftist thing necessarily, but yes, it is a quote unquote left wing policy. It's not necessarily left wing.
Yeah, price controls are a controversial policy, but they are, I would say, generally left wing. Although Trump is backing price controls now.
Yeah.
He signed an executive order either today or yesterday implementing price controls on medication
He
in the United
signed
States.
it? Actually, I thought he was just saying it.
I think he was
Holy
saying that
shit.
If he
passed
puts that shit on Truth Social, consider
Wow.
it signed.
it. Yeah.
Wow.
But okay, this is price controls that are used to help the working class afford things are a left-wing policy. Price controls that act as the state stepping in to resolve a contradiction of capitalism getting out of control is literal like economic fascism.
Yes.
So it can be done as either for a different intention.
It's sort of like nationalization. Like the Fascist Party of Italy nationalized some key industries, but also like nationalization is part of the Communist Party platform.
I mean,
it can be progressive or regressive.
Yeah.
We also saw nationalization in fascist Germany with the SPD nationalizing coal and rail.
By fascist Germany, you mean West Germany.
No, I mean Weimar
Yeah, I was
Germany.
gonna say,
Okay.
Oh, man.
Okay. Okay,
Here, by the way, this is the thing I was trying to point out.
Stand Up Canada's high-risk flood insurance program to support homeowners to reduce their exposure to future climate risk. We will expedite works and industry to finalize this low-cost program. It's not exactly clear what this entails, but if it's a public option for insurance, then I suppose that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Price controls on food. Did the NDP say like how they would do this or like what the plan was?
I think
Probably
it was
not.
price controls. There was actually more detail. This one is actually one of the things they did kind of go into here.
Oh.
Price regulations are already in place. It's here. Cooking oil went up. To enforce this cap, we'll put a mandatory grocery code of conduct.
We covered the National Grocery Code
Which
of
is
Conduct.
not mandatory.
Yeah,
So.
which was
No,
also
they're making it
yeah,
mandatory.
they would
They're
make it
making it
mandatory.
okay.
It was incomplete and incomprehensible.
That
That's
was
what
so
they
funny.
said.
Like they release it, we got to the end of the document. It's like it just ends.
Yeah.
Like basically halfway through a sentence, it just ends.
It was
Holy
like
shit.
I remember this because I was going to read the whole thing because it was a big news story and everyone was covering how like grocery stores don't want to sign it. I open it up. There's like a title page, like it's like is it glossary? What's the one with all the
Table of contents?
Yeah, table of contents. That's what I'm thinking. And it's just like empty. There's like 3 blank pages and then like 2 pages of something that just ends, and there's like 8 more blank pages.
Yeah, like I was actually shocked when this happened because like every news station is reporting on this grocery code of conduct. No one has pointed out that it
That is
literally
empty.
is not
Or, like,
finished.
half-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Like, of course, grocery stores aren't going to sign it. There's no signature line.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well as like I can hate capitalists all I want. I can hate grocery store owners all I want. You will never achieve anything if you're trying to get people to sign incomplete documents or if you're signing incomplete documents. They absolutely should not sign it.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry,
anyway,
Sherry, go back to the
continue
price
on.
control thing.
Yeah.
What was
Wait,
the...
just 1 second. There's no buttons here. These are not buttons. These are just.
Just pictures.
Is that not enough for you? Do you need information?
Did they finish it? Did they finish it finally? Code of
Code of
conduct?
conduct. It's 13 pages. Okay.
Okay, scroll. This is
Okay.
longer than I remember, actually, so maybe they did.
There were 3. I think it was the second one, which was the actual meat and potatoes, if I'm correct. And it was essentially just saying like, oh, we want people to play nice when negotiating.
Oh,
Yeah, I knew.
Oh, yeah, yes, this was it. This is where it just ends, and there's like a template thing there.
Holy shit.
To be
Okay.
removed when text completed.
Oh my god.
It is still
This is how you
incomplete.
know we live in a real country.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane. That's like Russian oligarch
Okay, so
kleptocrat.
where Trey is at, I will read for everyone. It's page 2 of 12, and it says operating rules, table of contents, and then in brackets, to be reinserted when text complete.
Look up.
Scroll down to the bottom of this doc.
Look at this top. Look at this top right here.
Megan track change revised by Megan track changes.pdf.
Oh my god!
Nana, look at this right up here.
Copy of Eng operating rules revised by Megan track changes.pdf.
Holy shit!
Scroll down all the way to the bottom, Sherry. I think this is the document that just ends in the middle of a sentence.
Adopt by day, month, year. No, this is such a joke. This is worse than a university kid handing in a half-ass paper.
Yeah.
Like, this is like if they left in the chat GPT prompt in the paper they hand in or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. This is like posting something that starts with, sure, here's what I can write for you.
Oh my god.
Okay, I guess they did finish the document no longer just ends in the middle of a sentence, I suppose.
Yeah, it's more
This is
complete than
like-
it used to be. It used to be 5 pages. We're up to about 12, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, this is revised. This one's revised.
Revised by Megan.
Thank you, Megan. We appreciate you. Look, we're making fun of the document. You're probably doing your best out there, all right? Maybe not, though. Fuck Megan.
Shit.
Oh my god. Okay, Shrey, back to the NDP.
I didn't know it was that bad. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see this. To enforce
so
this
the-
cap, we will place a mandatory grocery code of conduct. We will also strengthen the Competition Bureau to act as a grocery price watchdog with the power to impose serious penalties on those who don't comply. Those powers will extend to price gouging, price surging, price fixing, and shrinkflation.
Yes. So this is the exact same language that was used when publishing the document that we just said is incomplete. So this is referring to the same document. They're just going to make it mandatory, though it is still incomplete. I imagine they would rush completing it, but it's still just not a great thing. Because they were trying to do it a year ago. It didn't work because it wasn't complete, right?
That's not fair. That's not fair. That's the liberals who tried doing it a year ago.
Yeah.
These
The
are
do-nothing
Democrats
liberals.
Exactly. These
The
are
lost
the Democrats who
liberal
want to act. So that's not fair to the NDP here.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really say what they're how they're going to do price capping. They said they're going to do price capping up here.
Yeah.
And they said they're going to have a national food cooperative strategy where they're going to help independent grocery stores compete with the larger ones.
Sorry, not co-ops, just independent grocery stores?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Last one was public-backed mortgages. We already talked about this. This was more rational than I expected it to be because what I thought it was just like just nuking the housing market once and for all and shooting it to the moon. But it seems like
Which would be the most progressive thing they could do. Right?
maybe in a historically progressive sense.
It would very likely be the end of Canadian capitalism.
It would bring about the final crisis. But so yeah, I mean the NDP has a pretty left-wing platform in a lot of ways, but the Liberal Party also had but it's just barely more left-wing than the Liberals. That's the
I'm not saying the liberals are like far left in any fashion.
Yeah.
They just had more left-wing. My thing was the liberals, and I'm not sure if we're doing the deep dive yet, but my thing was the liberals had more left-wing points than the Democrats, and were much more fleshed out. Where a lot of the NDP is very vague with what they'll do.
Yeah. They shouldn't get flanked by the liberals, the NDP, especially when it comes to like stuff like this, essentially.
Yes.
It did
Yes.
kind of seem like the NDP made their plan expecting to lose and not have to do anything about it. Unless this is just how it always is.
If that's the limit of their imagination, though, like, why not just go in there and be like, commodity production is on the ballot?
Yeah, why not just go like make some
sheet
noise
time.
actually?
Yeah, just go
Holy
full
shit.
Edward
I don't
Bernstein.
understand that.
Yeah,
All right,
shit.
guys. Vote
Um,
to end commodity production.
But I mean, since Jack Layton, that's not even been their platform
we
anymore.
will reform our way to revolution.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, the Ontario New Democrats were talking about having a corporation developing housing by the government, like public housing by the government. The Ontario New Democrats, which are not the most left-wing flavored. So it's kind of depressing that the federal New Democrats couldn't even go that far.
I mean, all of the provincial NDPs are all the least left of all the NDPs.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I guess if we're just, like, we're at about an hour, so let's...
We'll wrap it up soon.
We'll move to just, like, past
what?
the election specifics. But since the election, there's been a lot of very interesting things. One that I've been very much enjoying is all the calls of a rigged election, which it turns out are getting more and more realistic looking because they keep...
Stop this count, guys.
The Liberals keep winning recounts slowly but surely, including one by one vote.
In Terrebonne, Quebec.
The
Hashtag
funniest thing.
stop the steal, guys.
I think I showed it to like everyone. I showed it to like, okay, that's got to be a problem, right? Like even the most reasonable person does not believe that whole you don't want to be the one vote that could change everything. Like that's crazy that was actually a thing.
Though a handful of years ago, I thought there was one that was like done by drawing straws.
Yep.
Because they tied.
Wow.
Yep, that was Yukon.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. The funniest thing after the election was I don't know where in Ontario he is. Jamil Giovanni. Stray, do you know where he is right now?
It's like Bowmanville.
Bowmanville. Yeah. He got interviewed on CBC.
Yeah.
he takes his. I think he must have got a call from up top or some shit.
Oh my god. Sorry.
Yeah.
Talking about the Yukon tie, so fun. I can't believe these guys want to be a province. The final seat in Vuntut Gwich'in appeared to be an even split between Liberal Cabinet Minister Pauline Frost and NDP's Annie Blake. Monday results showed each with 78 votes.
Yo, yeah. Never been.
That's like that one. That's correct me if I'm wrong, Shrey, but the Yukon is the one territory that wants to be a province.
Well, all of them want to be a province. But
I don't think none of it
Yukon is the
does.
closest. Yukon is the closest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have like 3,000 more people than the other two.
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, I was saying after the election, Jamil Giovanni of Bowmanville wins his write-in, and he gets interviewed, I think on CBC, and he got a call from someone up top say something about Doug Ford talking bear shit about. Well, he wasn't even talking. Okay, we talked about this actually in a previous episode. Doug Ford's campaign manager talked shit about the federal election. And Doug Ford just said, yo, deal with it. And they got super pissed. Jamil Giovanni said, this was so funny. He said, what? Are we supposed to listen to this guy because he beat Barney Crombie and Stephen Del Luca? Give me a break. I'm like, yeah, he's got a point, though, actually. Barney Crombie and Stephen Del Luca aren't shit. Like, oh, man.
It's fighting featherweights here, man.
Yeah.
Stephen Del Duca.
Stephen Del Duca,
the king of Vaughan.
The mayor of Vaughan, yeah.
The fucking quack.
Yeah.
The most northern European looking Italian man I've seen in my life.
Looks pretty Italian, I think. Under the right lighting.
Yeah.
So I came late to the discussion about the elections, but a couple of quick things. First of all, the big thing is I want to take this moment to appreciate the fact that we have first past the post, because in no other system would the leader of a party just outright lose like that, which is hilarious. So this is a rare moment where first past the post gives us gems like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Two leaders lost their seats.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, technically 3 if you include the Greens, but yes.
Wait. Oh, the other
They
guy.
had the half leader.
Yeah. The Greens, enough of this half shit. He quit, didn't he?
Fake party.
Quit, like, instantly.
He quit. What the hell? Like, were you serious at all, Mr. Pendable or whatever his name is? Like, if you're gonna run in elections, especially for the Greens, expect to lose. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
You think you were gonna win your first
He's a member of
election?
the Ford extended
Holy
family.
shit!
But yeah,
It was
Lost
rough.
weight.
But
Shit.
seeing Pierre lose, especially to the anti-Pierre, like, I'm not sure if you looked at Bruce Fanjoy, but
He had strong. From what I've heard, he had incredible ground game. Is that right?
yeah.
so he's been door knocking since 2023 nonstop, like every day.
Is that allowed?
And
Aren't there
Yeah,
rules
he-
against campaigning for that long?
You can't
Polyev did it.
like you can't like go into an apartment building
yes, yes,
specifically for that. But if someone like invites you in, or like you can knock on like individual houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was
How
actually
much did that liberal canvasser get in here?
that was actually impressive because that's like from what I've read, Polyev did a similar thing for the same write-in when he was trying to win way back then, and I think he was like not an unpopular candidate. Like he seemed to have like actually had a good base down in Ottawa. So this was like a crazy win, big win.
Well, Poilievre defeated a federal Liberal cabinet back in the day, so it's really impressive, especially for like a 25-year-old who has no other experiences. Like this is really impressive that Pierre won his first election. But seeing him lose was delicious, especially to Bruce, who's like this stay-at-home dad who was
this ultra soy lib,
like
100% soy.
Well, his entire life's purpose is to build the most green and eco-friendly house possible. And he spent like the last couple of years, like last decade, just doing that and nothing else.
A single issue politician.
Okay.
Well, I believe he was the former marketing director at Deloitte, but then his wife got a job at U Ottawa, and so he just left it all to become a stay-at-home dad and take care of the kids while his wife like bosses it up.
Oh, okay. Shout out to him for
leaving
Deloitte, an evil company.
And now he defeated Pierre, so absolutely incredible. Kudos to him.
Yeah.
And now Pierre is a leader of a party that doesn't have a seat.
He actually isn't leader right now.
Or
Aaron O'Toole is
so.
No.
Oh, Andrew Scheer's the interim leader.
Guess
Andrew
Scheer's
the leader of the opposition, not the leader of the party.
Oh yeah.
Isn't Aaron O'Toole the interim leader or something? Like what's
Aaron O'Toole's out.
He's out?
He's dead and gone.
Aaron O'Toole's out.
He's dead?
No, he's not dead. Politically, he's dead.
Okay.
He's still in Parliament, but there's no way he's ever going to get power again.
No, Aaron O'Toole's on Parliament.
Oh, he is. Wait, when did he lose his seat?
Jamil Jivani's seat. He's the reason why Jamil Jivani has a seat.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. True.
Aaron O'Toole's now a lawyer with a podcast.
It's like us.
We should invite him on.
Yeah.
How did it feel eating shit in
Under Blue
2021?
Skies?
It's under what?
Under Blue Skies, I think is his podcast.
Holy hell.
Well, he's an Air Force guy, right?
So now to all of Poilievre and his teams complaining about Carney running but not having a seat or anything like that. Now Poilievre just doesn't have a seat. So he's not going to say shit about that, I guess.
It'll take him some time too to get that election going. Like
probably a couple months.
At least I heard like a year potentially.
So the Liberals have up to 6 months to call the election. Now, Prime Minister Carney said he is going to call it as soon as possible. So that's basically they're coming back to the House at the end of May, and theoretically that's when they call it. An Alberta MP has already given up his position for which is crazy.
Cuck.
Okay, so here's the thing. Who's the biggest cuck of the 2025 Canadian federal election? Jagmeet Singh or this dude from Alberta?
Or Pierre Poilievre.
Or Poilievre.
Which of these three? Vote now on your phones.
Yeah, we'll get a Kahoot going for all the listeners. We'll leave it open.
Text your answer to what's his number?
To just read out Spencer's number.
Oh, also, we should... What the fuck were those comments on that Carney video?
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
That was so funny.
Oh my god.
Apologies to just random libtards.
Oh, yeah.
The video got blown up too. It wasn't for you. I apologize.
No, it was not. Oh my god.
I don't know about this election. I am terrified about the future of the New Democrats. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but a lot of the NDP strongholds were completely wiped out. Like Hamilton Centre, he came third place. London Fanshawe, she came third place. Charlie Angus is riding. Only 10% of people voted NDP or something like that.
Wow.
It's bad. I don't really know where the New Democrats go from here.
Legitimately, sorry.
Nowhere.
We have a spike in views on the Carney episode so massive that it's like 20 views, 89.
Okay, people were commenting. People were commenting like, "Oh, to be young and think you understand the world again. Start your own podcast, motherfucker."
Kill yourself.
Did you, old man, reply to that guy?
I did. I sent the old man emoji.
Kill yourself so we can have your house.
Oh man.
You can just put Carney's pick thumbnail on every thumbnail to Carney bait people.
Oh my
it
God.
might not, because I think the reason it worked this time is because the election happened.
Sweeting's back.
Okay,
Swinging?
we'll do
We love you,
Carney
Sweating.
here.
Say again.
We can do a test, right? Next, this thumbnail, we'll just put a random Pierre picture. The one after, we'll put a Carney picture. The one after, we'll put a Trump picture. Just keep going. And
I'll put a Carney picture. But anyways, we're getting a little lost in it right now. But one of my favorite things about the by-election is now suddenly I see a ton of people talking about, oh, a by-election is so expensive. They're already wasting money. Yes, motherfucker. It's not expensive.
That's the
Two,
point of the
it's
state.
like,
To waste money.
yeah, you do democracy because you think it's either better for like the people or you think it's more effective at like creating an end result or an outcome or something like that. If you're sitting there complaining that democracy is expensive, this is like the perfect result of a neoliberal state, is sacrificing all human choice in their government because you want to slim up the cost margins a little bit. You want it to be a little bit more price effective, so you get rid of democracy.
in defense of those people, this by-election is being called because Pierre is sad,
Yes.
right? Like, there is no other purpose for this election. That guy is alive.
Brain blast. Title of the episode: Emotional Support by-election.
Ooh. That's a good one. Well, we'll probably... I'll write that down and we'll do it when the by-election happens.
I think... I don't know if they're doing it because he's sad. I think...
Well, yeah. Because he shouldn't be leader anymore. He lost his seat. There's no reason... there's no privilege or need for Pierre to be in Parliament, right? He lost his seat. His party did not win. Mm-hmm. Why is he still leader?
It's actually an interesting question for like the trajectory.
He's losing his house too.
Yeah, the interesting question on the trajectory of the Conservatives after this, because unlike after O'Toole, was it O'Toole who came after Scheer or Scheer? Yeah. After O'Toole, Poilievre was a guy who was going around trying to become the next guy, and now the closest, and like that's even like a big gap. The closest possible replacement is Doug Ford for Pierre Poilievre.
But Ford just seems to be happy on his...
Yeah, and Ford is chilling. Like I think he's good where he's at right now.
He loves being dictator of Ontario.
All Doug Ford wants is Toronto. All right? If he goes federal instead of Ontario, Toronto is going to be way too many steps away, and he's going to lose his dreams.
Yeah. No, if he goes federal, Toronto will be the new capital within 3 months. He's going to refuse
back to a monolingual English country.
He's going to refuse to move to Ottawa. He's going to be governing from Toronto the whole time. Mm-hmm. He's going to be governing from his house
in Etobicoke.
Sure, what you say?
There's some other people. So Jamil Jamani is considered a potential successor who can keep the right-wing track that the Conservatives have.
Okay.
There's a bunch of progressive Conservative sides, like Tim Houston, who's the Premier of Nova Scotia, who's seemingly much more active on social media and stuff. Yeah. Michael Chong, like there's more progressive Conservative side.
See, the thing... so, Shrey, I think you were talking about earlier, just to bring us back to that, you're worried about the future of the NDP. I'm more bullish on it just because the provincial level of the NDP seems healthy. They don't seem to be going anywhere.
But like, they seem to be not on life support.
Yeah, like if the provincial... No, that's what I mean. It's like they seem to do well enough. Like they're leading in BC, they're leading in Manitoba, they're second place basically everywhere else, like west of Quebec.
Yeah.
There's a draft.
If we saw this federal collapse and then suddenly all the provincial parties collapsed,
right?
Then I'd be like, the NDP is actually dead forever.
Right.
You're right.
But as long as the provincial parties remain intact, there remains an infrastructure to recover from.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Although I will say that does require the federal NDP still being on speaking terms with the provincial parties, which sometimes they are not.
Yeah. Hopefully, Go ahead,
we should just become a centralized state.
Well, the other big thing I want to take away from the election is that we've been talking about this for a while, and it's much more prevalent in other countries. But we're getting to the point where, what was it, like almost half of men voted Conservative?
Yeah,
that's crazy. That is insane.
This is why I don't think Jamila Giovanni could.
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
In the student vote, for the first time, the Conservatives outperformed in young people compared to in older people. Like the future looks so hard right.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying to me as well.
I mean, yeah.
I'm skeptical of that translating to actual right-wing power, considering, like...
They're children.
If you forward project the youth vote, like, we'd be, like, some sort of weird hybrid of, like, Maoist China and Trotsky's conception of the Soviet Union, based on what students were up to in the 1960s. But, like, that didn't lead to anything.
Yeah.
I don't think this will lead to anything either.
I think it will.
I think it will as well.
I think the difference is the like children going far left and children going far, like the circumstances under which children went far left. There wasn't like an undercurrent of leftist media or leftist personalities or celebrities or anything like that drove that. It was just kind of like basic humanity shit. But now there's a concerted like right wing like
An instrumentarian power, one would say.
yeah. there's a right wing like I don't know, media structure. There's like right wing personalities, talk show hosts, like on TikTok they trend all the time. Like this is driving it, and I don't think unless there's a response or unless there's like severe education done to counteract that, I think it'll continue into university when they actually do start voting.
I think that, the difference of the old ones was that it was against capital, and this one is with capital. Mm-hmm. And, like, the old one, capital had an incentive to snuff it out, to not platform it ideally and all of that, and to constantly question it. For this one, it won't be questioned. It will just be fed more. Because... why would you not?
Yeah.
You know, you have the wave. This wave has all the military industrial, like, funding it needs, effectively, from, like, the CIA or CSIS or whatever the fuck you want, because it's in the favor of capital. But also, it's like, I do think that I will say that I don't think it's truly representative of actual ideology, because we are in the ultimate time right now of... everything got significantly worse over COVID and in the aftermath, and everyone is just voting the incumbent parties out. I figure all the young people are seeing how bad things are, and they're voting the incumbent party out because they've seen such a steep wave in their young adult life. But what matters is how much worse will things get over the next 4 years. Because if it stabilizes a lot, and like it ends up being the same, young people will be like, oh, this is fine, because it's all they know. If it continues to get steeply worse, then we'll continue to see the further right-wing swing.
Well, this is where I get terrified, because I strongly believe that things are going to continue to get worse as rot continues to go into our systems, and as soon as the more we sell off our state, and I just don't see any way of getting out of it.
Yeah.
Well, if Jagmeet Singh actually had a proper TikTok targeting youth and not... why did Jagmeet Singh not start going on a Twitch stream with XQC? Our beloved
did he not do that? He did Twitch stream shit.
Who did he do?
Yeah, he did it with Northern Lion. He did a collab with Northern Lion. Yeah.
Jagmeet Singh also did like play Among Us with AOC at one point.
Yeah.
He did all the thing is that all that stuff, all the like left wingers getting together with streamers or whatever seemed weird and corny to most people.
Yeah,
That's the thing. I don't think it was like Poilievre does not. He doesn't get on streams with...
Unless, of course, you're like Hassan interviewing Jean-Luc Mélenchon.
That's true. But like Poilievre would never got on a stream with Ninja or whatever the fuck, right? And it's he still had a lot of social media power.
There's a big difference between a politician getting on stream with like millennial moron or something like that. Someone who like does financial stuff and takes their shit seriously.
Is that an actual person?
Yes, that's an actual person. No, you're good. He has a pretty great chance.
Good guy.
Yes, I forgot that was a real person. And originally I thought you were talking about Northern Lion.
It's a guy that actually takes his stuff seriously. Or like if someone goes on stream with like Hassan and does an interview with him, that's a guy who takes his shit seriously and knows it, versus playing Among Us. Like you shouldn't go online to play a kid's game as a politician leading a political party, unless it's just like a one-off thing you've done on the side, which whatever. But that shouldn't be a part of your campaign.
Stunt.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a part of your campaign. It should be something you did for fun once.
It's one of those things you do once to show that you're with it.
Yeah.
Oh, straight.
I think Nana, you and I spoke about this once, where it was like whenever leftists, quote unquote, want to sound cool or want to sound like we're hip or with the young people, they either play video games, which is totally unserious, or just go into AAV, into African American Vernacular English, and start speaking like that, which is really weird.
Yeah.
Versus when like right wingers want to show they're in it, quote unquote, they just go on podcasts and spew like garbage for like 3 hours straight. But it's like, oh, I can get this guy super smart, so I want to follow him.
Yeah. Even.
And they seem chill on a podcast.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, you seem like a normal human when you're on a podcast, which is one of the things that right wingers really struggle to do. It answers that question of, can you just talk instead of going, we need, after a lost liberal decade, to axe the tax, build the homes. Like, that was all he did for like 18 months.
Fuck the pooch, shoot the wife.
They asked him if he supports woman blockers, and he deadass said, after several years of Justin Trudeau, shut the fuck up. But
it's like, I would watch.
He's still angry about his ex.
Yeah.
I would watch
Polyev Gay Trudeau. Worst, messiest bitch divorce in Canadian political history. He took the damn house from Pierre. Pierre's losing his damn house because of his ex Trudeau. Trudeau took the kids, took the house, took his money.
Yeah, I had to stop watching fucking Polyev interviews because it was literally copy pasted. Like, not just, oh, he's always talking about similar policies. Like, I'm pretty sure every time he got asked a question, his default would just be, like, 12 things that were just the exact repetition of his slogans, and they wouldn't do anything past that.
I mean, I think, that fueled his loss, too. Like, once all you have to say in response to everything is, well, look at what Trudeau did, and Trudeau's not there to point at, what are you going to say that's actually going to speak to people?
Yeah.
Pretty much nothing.
I think the peak was when he was asked to define woke. And he just immediately said, well, after a lost liberal decade. And then just kept on going. And to anyone who wanted a policy that wasn't anti-woke, that was like the death of it. If you saw that, there was no way you could assume he was going to do anything but anti-woke vague shit.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, it's fascinating because the Conservatives did track right-wing. Right? They did increase their vote share. They got men out to go like crazy to vote. I am so curious to see if they said, you know what we need to do is double down on this pathway.
They can.
I mean, it looks like they are, but
yeah, I think so.
I think they can.
I think they
easily
will. Yeah.
Well, here, this was a big headline that came out recently. Pierre Poilievre said no to Joe Rogan. That's really bruised a lot of people.
That's pretty crazy.
I think it's smart because I don't think he can come across as a normal human.
No, you don't understand who's on Joe Rogan these days, bro. Like,
maybe.
I
don't know who's ever been on. Like,
Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Bernie Sanders was on Joe Rogan.
I know like a few
wasn't that like
things,
5 years ago?
Yeah,
or
that was a long time.
Now he has like back to back like Nazis on there. This was like, and so it doesn't take anything to look impressive on Joe Rogan. There's no pushback. Like, there's no like questioning or anything. There's no like curiosity on his part. Like, he takes things at face value.
But he would still have to speak off the cuff for an hour.
Yeah,
and I
true.
don't know if he can do that.
Yeah.
Without bringing up like Khmer Bleu.
That's a deep cut. You have to explain that.
Shrey,
I already talked about Pol Pot earlier in the episode.
Yeah,
go look it up.
When Polyev was young, he was part of like a club or a little group or something that was called Khmer Bleu, and it was essentially just like I'll say radical neoliberal with an asterisk because that's just like effectively Nazi shit.
Yeah.
And it was essentially just like the whole thing of like, oh, what if we just did Friedmanite shit.
Yeah.
Which stands in for why don't we just implement like Chicago boy policy, which is just why doesn't every country run by a Nazi who rounds up and kills every single leftist or progressive, and then we just deregulate the entire economy for capital. But that's like a whole... like, this is like 3 books in. I don't need to connect every dot here. Yeah. But he was like... He was all in on that, and his ideology has never changed.
Yeah.
Now, like, and this is kind of a flag that I always tell people to look out for, is like, your ideology does not have to agree with mine But if your ideas have not changed in the last fucking however long, I guess it'll change based on your age, but like, let's say you're like 30, if your ideas have not changed in the last 10 years or something, you're doing something horribly wrong. You've never been curious. You've never looked around or anything like that. Poilievre's ideas have not changed since he was like 14.
Yeah.
You don't get it right at 14. Even if you have, air quotes, the objectively correct ideology, you're not going to understand why or how at 14 in a way that doesn't change dramatically through the years. You know? So, there you go.
Anyways, why don't we leave it there because it's been an hour and a half.
Yeah. Shrey, do you have any closing remarks?
This election was a complete realignment for where people are. I hope the New Democrats get back there. I am terrified for the future of young men in this country and where they go from here. But
to South Korea.
I am cautiously optimistic in the liberal housing plan, and hopefully that fixes things.
Yeah.
Amen.
Shout out to that.
Yeah, it turns out once again, the conservatives did it this time, which was very strange. But aiming for the young vote didn't work.
Because they have dumbasses.
Because it never does.
There's this guy who tweeted day of the election. He's like, I just tried to vote in my university town and I got turned back because I wasn't registered to vote in that town. You fucking idiot. What do you mean? Yeah, like, did you expect them
You
to...
just admitted that you weren't ready to vote.
Yeah, it's like, he's like...
Or you tried to do voter fraud.
He's like, several of my friends also try to vote conservative and someone should probably look into this. Into what? You being stupid? Like, there's several chances for you to
unwittingly tried to commit voter fraud?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I was really nervous about this election until Shrey came to me and said, I'm nervous about the election because I think the young people are going to show conservative. And I went, perfect. The conservatives have lost.
Anyway, on that note...
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Canada is more than a nation. We are and we always will be a confederation. A sacred set of ideas and ideals built on practical foundations. That we know we're not always perfect, but we always strive.